Welcome to our session, Enhancing Collaboration and Efficiency, Leveraging Microsoft 365 for a Distributed Workforce and Remote Staff. I'm Wynne Leon, the Microsoft Practice Lead at Rico Consulting. Along with my talented colleagues, we are going to show you ways we have customized and configured Microsoft 365 for a distributed workforce. Collaboration is a transformative topic at any company, but when you add in the unique requirements of remote staff, it becomes even more necessary to facilitate communication and handoffs. The solutions we present in this session help to reduce the friction caused by distance and ensure that processes support the deliverables and bottom line. So our first solution is going to be automating incoming queries with a shared mailbox and to-do or planner. We're going to use the shared mailbox as one repository for multiple users, and then use rules to sort new messages to a subfolder. We're going to add Planner with buckets for our customer service messages. So in this scenario for a customer service team, new messages will go on the triage bucket, while progress and escalated items are sorted to other buckets. And we're going to create a new flow that will pick up messages from that shared mailbox and create a new item in Planner. We start in the Exchange Admin Center, adding a shared mailbox. We create the shared mailbox for the customer service team. And once that's created, we add delegated permissions for everybody that will need to see the mail. This allows multiple people to have access to this one mailbox. And because licensing for shared mailboxes is not necessary, they are unlicensed. There's not an additional licensing cost to this. Once that's added, I see it in the left pane of my Outlook, and I can interact with any message as I do with my top-level mailbox. I add new folders for incoming messages, in-progress messages, escalated messages, and closed so that I can keep those messages organized. And once I've created that, I can open the mailbox in Outlook Web Access. When I launch Outlook Web Access, it launches my profile, but I click on my profile picture and it gives me the option to open another mailbox. Once in the customer service mailbox, I create my rules. I want to sort messages so that only incoming messages or brand new messages are in that incoming request folder. This keeps my flow from adding new items for replies that I get on existing issues. So I add a condition when items come in that are to customer service, they're moved to the incoming request folders, except if the body includes reply below line. That keeps, it filters out the messages that we've already added because I know that text is in replied messages. I see the summary of my rule in Outlook Web Access, and I can move on to creating my planner. I go into Teams to add an app. I see Task by Planner is right there front and center. I create a new plan for customer service incoming messages. And then I rename the default bucket to triage. And I create new buckets for in progress and then a final bucket for escalated items. We don't need a bucket for closed items because we'll just close the tasks in Planner. Once I've established my shared mailbox and my planner, then I can go into Power Automate. I search the templates in Power Automate and for Planner, and I come up with create a task in Planner when a new email arrives in shared mailbox. This tells me that it's going to pick things up from Office 365 Outlook and then use Planner and content conversion to create new tasks. When selected and the connections are set, I can just fill out the information. I'm going to pick up that customer service mailbox. I'm going to look specifically at the incoming request folder. I'm going to set a future time, and this is what the time that I'm going to use for due dates. I want the due date to be 24 hours after the incoming message. So then it creates the planner task for Contosa team is the group. My plan ID is customer service incoming messages. It takes the subject of the line and makes a title out of it, and the start date is when it was received. The due date is that future time. The flow then does a little conversion from HTML to text so that the body of the message can be added as the description of the task in Planner. The trigger of the flow is anytime a new message is received in that box, so in that folder. So I'm going to send a message to the customer service alias with a subject of adding items to kick off the flow. Once I do that, I see that the flow is run. It's at October 9th, and it succeeded, so I will go ahead and flip to Planner. In Planner, I see that it's created a new item with the subject line as the title of the task, adding items. The due date here is October 10th, a day after I ran my flow. So after showing you that solution, I want to hand it over to my colleague, Michael Shipman, who's going to show you a custom way that we've created to add teams so that they have approval and follow naming conventions.
Thanks, Wynne. That was very helpful information. My name is Michael Shipman, and I'm a Senior SharePoint Engineer and Power Platform Rego Consultant. Today I'm here to discuss how to use a SharePoint list with Power Apps and Power Automate. As a Rego Consultant, I will guide you through our effective method to automate Microsoft Teams group creation. We will utilize SharePoint lists for user requests, Power Apps for easy form completion, and Power Automate for automated approval and instant team creation. This ensures ease of use and workflow efficiency for all stakeholders. Here we built a SharePoint list called MS Teams Request, where we have customized columns to streamline user requests. This allows for both admin approval and automated creation of Teams groups, enhancing our user engagement and productivity. By utilizing the SharePoint list, users can easily submit their requests for the creation of a new MS Teams group. This list indicates columns specifically tailored to gather all necessary information, such as a requester's name, department, and reason for the request. Additionally, these lists incorporate columns to track the approval process, ensuring that only authorized administrators can review and approve those requests. Once approved, flow automation initiates. Now we're going to talk about Power Apps. With a single click on Plus New, users will be directed to a custom Power App, offering a user-friendly interface for filling out necessary fields, thus ensuring a seamless experience. Power App offers several benefits over the default SharePoint Plus New feature. First, customization. Power Apps offers a greater degree of customization, allowing you to tailor the platform to your specific needs. In comparison, SharePoint Plus New feature offers a more standard form type, which might not suit the unique requirements of every business. Second, flexibility. With Power Apps, you can connect to multiple data sources, both inside and outside of SharePoint. On the other hand, SharePoint new features can only pull data from within SharePoint. Lastly, integration. Power Apps fully integrates with Power Automate for flows. This allows to automate tasks and processes seamlessly. With SharePoint Plus New, automation is limited to SharePoint workflows only. Now let's talk about Power Automate swings into action when a new item appears in the SharePoint list. I'd like to introduce you to our Teams flow example. Once an item is created, a service account is initialized, and then the item is fetched. The user profile is also acquired for tracking. An approval request is then generated, and if it gets denied, an email notification will be sent to the user and the request will be terminated immediately. But if it gets approved, the flow will loop through each item, creating a Teams request according to the details provided from the Power App. Remember, the Power App was pulled from the columns within SharePoint. This greatly streamlines approval processes and increases efficiency in your workspace. In this example, you can see the connections in use for this flow. We have approvals, Office 365 Outlook, Office 365 users, SharePoint, and Microsoft Teams. In this example, this flow is not required to use a premium license. On the right-hand side, you can see the first action that we created in this flow. It is when an item is created. So in this example, the site address is actually pulling from the team request list that we created. Second, you'll notice initialize variable. This is where the service account that you're using for this flow will be required to populate the object ID from Azure. Third action will be get item. Again, we're pulling from the teams list. Fourth action will be get my profile. This is basically just adding an action, letting it know to point to the mail. So I quickly went back to the first slide that we show so you can see the split to the left and to the right underneath create approval. This process basically says, hey, if this is terminated, please send the user an email saying their team's request was denied and terminate the flow. If it was approved, let's continue on to the following actions on the left. Here you'll notice this was under condition. These are the final steps that will run, assuming an administrator at this point has approved or denied the request. On the left-hand side, if yes, apply to each response, you'll notice we have responses in the field. So, if the administrator has approved this, it will continue on to the next step. Down below, we have create a team. You'll notice it says final team name. On the original SharePoint list at the beginning, we showed columns that we had where the user could input their request. In our example, we used two columns that we combined here for the final step. It was a prefix and it was a team name. Here, the final team name is basically adding the prefix and the name together to give you the full combination. Below that, where the user entered what the team description is all that is being added here. At this point, the flow has completely run successfully. On the right-hand side, if no means the administrator denied the request from the end user. So at this point, the end user will receive an email letting them know that the request was denied to create an MS team. The flow will be terminated. Congratulations, you did it! Here on the left-hand side, you can now see that the teams group has been created. You'll notice it says Customer Service Test Team. On the right-hand side, I wanted to show you a quick example of what it would look like for your administrator. They're going to get an email that says, hey, do you want to approve or reject? At this point, if they approved it, it follows the steps we just showed you. And if it's rejected, it terminates the flow immediately, letting the end user know this was not approved. In addition to the flow we just discussed, we can take this one step further. By tying this service account to your IT help desk, this will streamline the process even more for administrators. This means whenever approval request is triggered, it gets sent directly to the IT help desk, simplifying the process, reducing the wait time, and ensuring no requests get overlooked. This utilization of Power Automate truly enhances your automated workflow, paving the way for seamlessly collaborating and effective administration. Next, I'm going to pass you along to Daniel Sanders.
Hi, my name is Daniel Sanders with Simple SharePoint, a 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀 consulting division. We are talking about Microsoft Teams phones and using Teams channels for voice communications. Teams phone channel features include real-time call transcriptions, centralized voicemail access, call status visibility, and enhanced collaboration between agents during calls. In today's session, we will go over how to enable Teams channel calling and discuss a few features this provides. To enable Teams channel calling, first you will navigate to admin.teams.microsoft.com and expand the Voice tab. Let's do this now. To locate the most common phone system features, scroll down until you reach the auto attendance in the left-hand menu. Here, you will find the auto attendant, also known as an IVR. This feature controls the phone logic or flow and allows the team to utilize the features after-hour schedules, holiday schedules, and dial pads menu selections. Below the auto attendant are call queues. Call queues allow you to designate a user, group, or team channel for a selection within an auto attendant or as a target for a direct dial call. Please note that both call queues and auto attendants require the use of a resource account to show up as a selectable item within other call queues or auto attendants. Call queues or auto attendants that will have a phone number and receive external calls directly will also need a Microsoft Teams phone resource account add-on license. By default, Microsoft provides 25 free resource account licenses with a Teams phone plan. Additional licenses are given based on the number of phone plans purchased. Teams call channels will only show up within the Windows or Mac desktop client. They will not show up in the web browser. As an example, I have a Windows 10 desktop showing both the browser version of Teams and the desktop version of Teams for the Team HR team and Channel General. In the browser on the right-hand side, the General team does not have a Calls tab, but under the desktop client, the General team does have a Calls tab, a dial pad, and also includes information such as missed calls, incoming calls, or voicemails that have been left. To enable Teams channel calling, first we will identify a channel that does not have Teams calling already enabled. In this case, HR admins does not have the Calls tab, so we will go to Office 365 to enable that now. Within Office 365 Teams Admin Center, we will go to the Call Queues tab on the left-hand side menu, and in this case, select the HR channel calling call queue. From within the call queue, we'll select the call answering option, the choose a team, add a channel option, and in the add a channel, we'll type in the name of the team that we would like to add channel calling to. The channel that we would like to add calling to is HR admins from the drop-down. Hit apply and hit submit. On the desktop client, we can now see the HR admins channel has a calls tab. When selecting the calls tab, we can see the missed calls, incoming calls, and voicemail. And as an agent in the queue, we can enable or disable ourselves from the call queue from the selector on the right-hand side. Some of the benefits of using Teams phone channel calling include voicemail access from one location. With Teams channels, voicemails are easily accessible from one central location versus with users and groups, the voicemail messages are sent to each individual user, making it hard to tell if a message has already been responded to. Easy access to call history. Basic call data such as missed calls, inbound calls, and pending voicemails can be viewed from the Teams channel call tab without ever having to pull additional reports that may require admin rights. Instant communication between agents. By using Teams channels, it's easy to quickly communicate between channel members about current, inbound, and past conversations to answer questions from clients quickly and concisely. As a recap today, we went over the Teams phone basic features, Teams phone voice-enabled channels, and how to enable them within the Teams Admin Center. Thank you for joining us today, and now I'm going to hand the demo control back over to Wynne.
Thank you for joining our session, Enhancing Collaboration and Efficiency, leveraging Microsoft 365 for distributed workforces and remote staff. For more information, please visit our website, Simple SharePoint, for the solutions we've developed. That's at https://simplesharepoint.com. Simple SharePoint is a division of Rigo Consulting. So you can also check out the Rigo Consulting website at https://rigoconsulting.com. And for more information, you can reach out to our fabulous account director, Patrizio Censari. His email address is patrizio.censari@rigoconsulting.com. Thank you.